Through love, regeneration, and hope, we can excite, empower, and awaken humanity to take the next step towards global regeneration and planetary health. In this conversation with Ryland Engelhart, we go deep into the nuances of what wakes us up individually and collectively. Ryland is the co founder and executive director of Kiss the Ground. He's the producer of the Kiss the Ground movie, the film on Netflix, and he's been an entrepreneur for over 15 years, brings a wealth of information to this conversation and to the global regenerative movement. Enjoy the conversation. I'm Natalie Forsbauer, founder and editor-in-chief of Heart and Soul magazine. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Ryland.
Hey, Natalie.
So are you on your farm?
So me and my wife have a little homestead on the next door to my sister's farm, which is called Sohart Farm, which is where we moved to her farm, and we've been here just 6 months, and we're looking at are we going to buy land on this street, or how we're going to integrate. But yeah, we moved out from living in Los Angeles and urban centers for the last 20 years to a farm, and just starting to acclimate ourselves to the natural rhythms and being more connected intimately with stewarding land.
That's exciting. It's really exciting. And where is that?
Fillmore, California. So it's about an hour north of LA, and it's nestled up to the edge of the Los Padres National Forest, and there's about 100 miles of wilderness behind us. And the Sespe watershed, Sespe Creek, and it's actually the last undammed wild creek or river in Southern California. And so it's a cool little gem.
Feels like a powerful and sacred space.
And literally we can just this past week, sacred space. Yeah, we hiked up maybe 3 hours up and 3 hours back this past weekend, and got to this place called Devil's Gate, which is where the two mountains come together, and there's these big swimming pools and these boulders the size of big houses, and really, really exquisite, natural beauty. And almost you can't picture it in Southern California. It's like it doesn't seem like it's quite the right place, but it's a real gem, and I'm excited to be able to raise my son and have him get to have a life of river exploration and being able to appreciate the natural beauty of this earth.
What a gift. It's a massive gift. Wow. How old's your son?
2.5.
Oh, perfect.
His name is Rumi Forrest.
Rumi. Yeah, I love that name. It's very powerful. I wanted to learn more about Kiss the Ground, and I'm wondering if you could just tell me, like I shared a little bit about my awakening the last time we talked, and I was wondering if you could share your awakening with me about like what was it that made you go, I think I'm going to pay attention to the soil.
Yeah, so to go one step further back, seeker and an advocate of transformation, and I think that's always been I've always been seeking how to create experiences and spaces that cultivate transformation. And that comes from my parents being definite spiritual seekers, and definitely exploration of transformation in all different ways, from different, breath work to spiritual gurus to, um, you know, to all kinds of interesting philosophies over the years. And they also were, my dad was a back to the lander. He lived in a teepee in
Mm-hmm.
upstate New York, didn't go to college, and lived, I think, 2 winters in, this place called Peasleyville in upstate New York, cooking every meal on open fire in a teepee, with snow 3 foot out on the outside. So, um, kind of that as the backdrop of my childhood. I grew up on an old dairy farm that was converted, that was, wasn't a dairy farm anymore, but a barn, and an apple orchard, and vegetable gardens, and running around naked, and being pretty intimately connected with, um, nature and the living world,
Mm.
and being a Waldorf school student, Rudolf Steiner Waldorf education.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was, again, all background. And then, I did about 10 years of education with landmark education. I
Okay.
had learning disabilities coming out of high school, didn't go to college, and I experienced a lot of kind of, shame, self-doubt, fear, anxiety, and an inability to kind of like, face the world, because I felt like I was inept in a lot of ways.
Mm.
And, um, through the transformation that I experienced in doing the Landmark Forum in New York City in, I think, 1998 or 9, I just really got that everybody is, everybody is making it up, acting like they know what they're doing,
Mm.
and we're all just figuring it out. And, you know, and that, just that insight that everyone is kind of in this imposter syndrome, or feeling like they don't know what they're doing, uh, just gave me a lot of space to go, oh wow,
Mm.
um, I've been afraid to participate because I feel like I don't have the basis of knowledge, but most people
Mm.
don't have that, and
That's
so
right.
it just gave me the permission to be kind of a leader who doesn't know what they're not necessarily doing, but is committed to doing
Mhm.
something and taking a step,
Mhm.
before having it all figured out. And so, um, yeah,
Oh,
that led to, me going to work with my folks, and the creation and beginnings of Cafe Gratitude and Gracias Madre, and
mhm.
building that business in San
Mhm.
Francisco. And really, that wasn't a business for business sake. That was really a business for transformation's sake, and for, you know, I had it in my heart and mind that we were creating a business that could change the world, and that we could demonstrate that, not only are we serving, healthy, delicious food, but we're creating an environment for our employees that is transformational, and, beyond just the paycheck, and that we could demonstrate that consciousness of a business,
Mhm.
and that consciousness of food choice, uh, and, so I had this dream of going to LA and opening those restaurants in LA. And
Yeah.
I thought I could learn the business and do it in a year. Ended up taking me 5 years to go to LA and open the first restaurant in LA.
Mhm.
And we ended up opening sequentially 7 restaurants in Southern California over then the next 10 years. But um, that experience, of seeing plant-based food going from, the margins to the mainstream, and us playing a role in that, really just gave me the vision, amongst other things in my childhood, like that. Oh, you can
Mm.
create change. If you can see it in your mind, you can really make it happen. Um, and that led me to New Zealand, where I was actually, um, showing a screening of a film called May I Be Frank, which is a film that I had produced about the transformation of a gentleman who had kind of given up on life, and we breathed life back into him through food and through community and through all different kinds of healing modalities that were very commonplace in cafe gratitude world, but probably would be pretty alternative to most people. And so
Yeah.
we filmed him go through a 42-day process, and that total success and won some awards, and it was just a really beautiful story of transformation. So that brought me to New Zealand, which then that brought me to being an audience member in a panel discussion called Can Human Beings Sustain Themselves on Planet Earth? And up until that point, I thought I was pretty much like, I knew, you know, about sustainability. I knew about, you know, what our solutions were for climate change. I knew, you know, what the pathways for, and really, you know, even though I kind of thought like cafe gratitude, we were on like the cutting edge and there was a little bit of arrogance around that. There was an underlying kind of feeling of a little bit of apathy and depression around like, what is a real pathway forward for humanity? Because it really looked pretty dire and bleak when you think about, you know, all the sort of approaches of conservation, sustainability. Like there just wasn't a real map or a mechanism or a system that I could see humans, you know, participating in, besides some kind of moonshot technology that would somehow save us. And so there I am in New Zealand in an audience panel called "Can Human Beings Sustain Themselves on Planet Earth?" All or out of the 6 experts, 5 said no. We're heading into the 6th mass extinction. This is much more dire than most people even let on to tell you, because you're hard to fundraise from if you don't have any hope. And then the last guy spoke was a guy by the name of Graham Sait, who was a sort of educator, advocate, author on soil health, human health, and planetary health. And he basically created the connection between soil health and climate change, and that if we could understand the way photosynthesis works and that it pulls carbon into the ground, we could not only you know, take the most destructive system on the planet, our agricultural system, and turn it into the great redeemer, and that everyone who eats can participate in that revolution. And I was just like, oh my God, that's it. That's the way forward. No, it was like the world went from flat to round. Like it was literally like, oh, a flat Earth moment to a round Earth moment. Like, oh wait, there's a cyclical cycle that we can participate in that turns imbalance back into balance. And it's not just like our technology, it's actually the way the architecture of nature is self-balancing, self-healing, and self-correcting. And if we could just align ourselves with that technology, that inhale, we could support Mother having an inhale, just you know, being you know, kind of bled by our land management practices, and that we could simply you know, create balance. And it was just like, oh my God. I mean, it literally, to people that have like samadhi moments of like a 1,000 suns.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, wow.
It was like, oh, like I just got it. It was like, I literally was like, oh my God, that's true, possible, and intuitive, and that's it. That's and so just, I literally couldn't get over that was true, and that it was intuitive, and it made sense, and it was so mutually beneficial on so many levels. And yet it was nowhere in the conversation around what the solutions were at the. And so I started becoming like a evangelist for soil. Everywhere I went, I just became like the the salesman for soil. And basically that started leading me to like sending people, hey, you got to, my mentor was Graham Sait, you got to go find this guy Graham Sait online. And then I looked up like what his content looked like online. I was like, oh my God, this is like a really bad blurry slide, bad angle video camera. And, you know, his kind of New Zealand accent, I was like, okay, this is not going to do. We have to create better stories to make the story be a prevalent and story that the masses can get on board with. And we've always joked that there's a meme that was on the internet that was huge, where there's like kind of a goofy guy. It's kind of like awkward watching him, and then this another person comes up and like starts dancing with him and like kind of validates that he's having fun and that it's a party over there, and then everybody joins in the party. And so, you know, the Kiss the Ground really is, you know, the second guy or gal to the party, and that we're not, you know, we're not the, you know, indigenous wisdom keepers of this knowledge. We're not the pioneering farmers and ranchers. We're not, you know, scientific academia that validates this. We're the folks that say, you know, this, it's a party over here, people.
Yes.
The soil is the best party on the planet. Let's get down with the microbes. Let's get down with the biology that serves everything else on top of that. And so we started a working group in my living room. Me and my friend Finian, who's a childhood friend, we pinky swear that we were gonna give our lives to changing the narrative, the global narrative around regenerative agriculture, and that we were gonna bring this to the world. We were gonna do whatever we had to do to make that happen. And you know, we started out as a, you know, just like some young guys and gals in a living room, committed to, you know, changing the world, and using our skills, resources, and talents, which were, you know, not many, especially in this area of expertise. But we said, you know, our voice, we can tell stories, we can be advocates, we can bring awareness to this, we can change hearts and minds.
Makes me cry.
Change hearts and minds. We can, you know, we can shift things. And, you know, I had the kind of track record of Cafe Gratitude and changing the trajectory around seeing plant-based food going from into mainstream, and seeing things like that. We had done cold pressed juice, and that wasn't even a term in the vocabulary of California when we started back in 2004. And quinoa, no one knew what that was, and people didn't eat kale. It was just a decoration on, you know, Ponderosa buffet between the plastic bowls. They had the kale as the decorative plant, not the food. And so we've seen that things can change, and that can you demonstrate and, you know, communicate the narrative in a powerful way, and can you engage influential people to buy onto that narrative and become, you know, strengthen and amplify your voice or your story. And we just set out to do that by any means necessary. And you know, that led to the connection with Josh and Rebecca Tikal, which again is a total kind of kismet serendipity. They were moving out of Venice, moving to Ojai, and I was moving to Venice to open the first Cafe Gratitude in Venice, and I moved into their old place. And, you know, on the transition of like passing the keys, I was like, "You guys are filmmakers? Oh, you guys should make a film about soil." They're like, yeah, we make a film about alternative energy and fuel, and soil's pretty boring. I mean, fuel's boring enough. I don't think we can make a film about soil. And I was like, no, soil, it's amazing. It's the basis of life. It's the storage shed that we can put all the carbon in the atmosphere, and we can create a problem into a solution, and carbon's not the enemy. And they're like, yeah, sound a little eager beaver, but not interested. And then they ended up, coming around 3 or 4 months later and said, we see that you guys are creating a nonprofit, and we'd like to put organization. And so we joined up with them and started raising money and engaging the folks who we had been engaging with as, our advocacy and education. And, we started to reach out to the community. And that was kind of, we built a garden in Venice on Rose Avenue that ended up lasting for 3-4 months. But we just said, we knew we had to create a place where people could connect to something and then they could learn. It's like, all right, what's the thing that they can connect to that has them get this learning? And we built this, beautiful garden. And literally it just lasted for, a summer. But in that summer, it created all these ripples of transformation. And, I remember standing outside of a chain link fence, praying, literally saying, Mother, Father, God, hear my prayer in this. I know that your answer is yes. And I know that you're out for the highest good. Allow this vacant lot to be a garden that communicates the message of regeneration for Venice and for Los Angeles and for this influential place, that this little place can be a little seed pod of this message, and allow it to be so. And then, a couple weeks later, we were able to get access to that land and build a garden and create, events there, and started, telling the story. And then, that turned into a story, which was kind of the first piece of media that in 3 or 4 minutes communicated this message. And again, there wasn't even really the agreed upon term of regenerative agriculture. So we used carbon farming or regenerative agriculture as like, potentially the vernacular verbiage that was going to be, used. And then we connected that to supporting Governor Brown's Healthy Soils Initiative and got 23,000 signatures to support that. And, we got some celebrities on board to support. And, we were just, our goal was to awaken people to the possibilities of regeneration, knowing that, we weren't going to be the people that were going to do all the work. But if we could be the spark and light the candle in many people's hearts about this idea, the world could change. And that was just what we knew as our role. And, Rumi said, let the beauty you love be all that you do. There's hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. And our way to kiss the ground was to excite, inspire, and awaken people to this being possible. And that's what we've done over the last 7 years.
That's incredible. So how long from the time that you met the film directors to the time the film was released? Just to give us an idea of
7 years.
7 years.
7 years.
Wow.
Set.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So seven. Basically, we started working with them like 6 months after we started the org. And so, it's been a 7-year journey of, championing. I'm realizing that we only had half an hour and I have another meeting, which I'm totally bummed, because I'm just feeling the juice of this interaction and connection. I'm a crier too. I get moved to my heart. So I just love, your space and your energy, and thank you for this space to share into. And it's great to be heard and listened to.
Well, thank you, Ryland, and I'm going to honor that time. And do you have 1 minute to just tell me really quickly, or in as much space as you want as we expand time, what do you want people most to know about Kiss the Ground?
What do I want people
and the movement?
What do I want people most to know? I want people to know that that love and regeneration are possible for our relationship to humanity and our relationship to Mother Earth, and that we can have a loving relationship with our brothers and sisters, our humanity, and that we can have a regenerative relationship with our Mother Earth, and that there is hope, and there is possibility, and there's the greatest opportunity for humanity to mobilize to create a restoration, an objective of life, a human, unified objective of regeneration, and that we're deeply seeking meaning, and we're deeply seeking to contribute to something that has value, and the fact that we could unify around the collective healing and regeneration of our biological systems, which allows for creating nutrients and abundance for humanity. If we really we can heal and regenerate our earth, and in turn create sustenance and abundance for our planet, so that we can take care of everybody, and we can take care of ourselves from the abundance of Mother Earth, which is her divine nature. And that together we can do this. And the opportunity of the recognition of our interconnection and our interbeing with soils and plants and animals and each other is, an absolutely interconnected cloth. And regenerative agriculture is such an amazing place to begin in this movement towards an understanding of how we move through the world and create in a way that has a beneficial effect versus a destructive effect. And and that your voice matters, and that we were no experts. We are no experts. We're just fools for love and fools for possibility, stepping out and saying this is possible, and have been able to awaken many, many more people. And we need a continued growth in this cavalry of the regenerative movement. And Kiss the Ground is in service to being a resource, an education, and a kind of a place to have people find their path to participate, whether you're a farmer, whether you're an advocate, whether you're a gardener, whether you're someone that just wants to change your consumer, your lifestyle behavior. Kiss the Ground really is in service to giving people pathways to participate and ignite their journey down the regenerative path. And we basically have 4 programs. We create media. We've created 60 short films over the last 7 years. We have a advocacy department where we create courses that empower people to be deeply knowledgeable and advocates for this movement. And then we have a farmland program that provides scholarships for technical training and soil testing and mentorship for farmers to transition. And then we have a policy department where we convene policy leaders and experts together around and using the tools of our communication to ignite them to see what's possible around regenerative agriculture as a solution, and creating more political and public will around shifting policy in support of regenerative agriculture.
Thank you. I love how you named in presence. It's okay to not know, and that every step that we take can be really, really meaningful, and to just trust whatever that is. And we all make a difference. So thank you, Ryland. I'll let you run because
so I'm happy to get on another 15-minute or 30-minute call to do some follow-up questions. I'm okay.
Oh, I'd love to. Okay, big love. Make yourself an amazing day. So good to meet you and connect with you.
Likewise. Much love.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye.